What's good, family? It's your man the YB, back once again. Big shout out to my doggy, Darren, in the morning for coming through and boosting up the coin. Respect, General. So, we got some breaking news right now regarding your man's Anthony Lossua. A new dawn, he says, and he announces, he leaks the photo of Lossua versus Franklin on April 1st. So the good news is, we've only got we're damn near halfway through, we're a quarter of the way through February. So we got 7 weeks left. I like this one. Why do I like this one? It's not long to go. Normally with Lossua fights, it's about 10 years away, 4 months away. And I also like it because people will be glad to know the fight's not on pay-per-view. Although, it does have to be said, DAZN have recently boosted up the price to $20 per month. No doubt, it's not a coincidence. Yeah, they boosted it up just before the Anthony Lossua fight. So really, I'm trying to think, wait a minute. So really, you are paying pay-per-view. Yeah, DAZN's whole shtick was, we'll be cheaper. £6 a month. And then it turns out, you're paying £20 a month for months you don't even want the service for. And in the meantime, you get an AJ fight, which you normally... it's only recently, people. AJ fights used to be $20. It's only recently it went to 25 and 30 and God knows where else. So really, DAZN boosting up to $20. Oh, it's not on pay-per-view. Well, it is on pay-per-view. Arguably even more. If you end up buying... I'm trying to think now. Have they strategically placed it on April 1st? Yeah? Have they strategically placed it at a time when they can try and cuck people? I.e., some people will sign up on March 30th so they don't miss the April 1st. You know what I mean there? Yeah, I don't know, I think DAZN may have done this to try and cuck dons. And what I mean by that is, there'll be some man, who hear about the fight in February or any point from now and they'll think, boom, let me get locked in now. And that way you get your subs in. So they get the whole of February. DAZN get $20 February, $20 March, $20 April. But even not them ones, even the dons who hear about it on Friday, March 30th, they'll be thinking, I better buy it now. They get on DAZN March 30th, they get charged for the March subscription, and then you get bumped again on April 1st. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I'm pretty sure from what I've heard, DAZN don't do a rolling day. You're not paying for 30 days, you pay for the calendar months. I'm pretty sure. I don't know, don't quote me on that. I'm making it up as I go along, 100%. Anyway, let's get to the meat and bones of the situation. Alright now, listen, a lot of people have been hating this fight. None other than Bumillion White. Listen, get Big Bumillion White out of here. I ain't trying to hear no more from that guy. Yeah? I actually like this fight. I think people are saying, it's ridiculous, and listen, some other dude said, Deontay Wilder just fought Robert Bumlenius. Come on now. Robert Bumlenius. What's he done? To be fair, Bumlenius, when he was in his prime, or when Bumlenius turns up, he was good against Kawanaki, but to be quite frank, I'd back Franklin to wash Helenius and wash Kawanaki. For me, Franklin, he is of the ilk of Luis Ortiz. Franklin, Dillian White, Ortiz, them man, they're in that little set. Yeah? Ortiz, Ruiz, Franklin, Dillian White. You put any of them in together, it's going to be a close fight, and we saw it. We saw Luis Ortiz and Ruiz have a close fight. We saw Dillian White and Franklin have a close fight. So really, yes, it's not the Dillian White versus AJ fight, but I'm glad we're not having it anyway. Neither man, AJ or Dillian, have done anything to show me that fight's worthwhile. Now, and the great thing is, from AJ's point of view, if AJ goes in there and blows this Donnie's back out, that'll differentiate him a level above Bumillion. Now, if he doesn't, God forbid AJ gets washed. I can see it, that's the thing. I'm actually surprised they're taking this risk. I don't know what other people have been seeing, but Franklin, he's not a purebred. He's not a purebred bull, but he ain't going to go in there and jerk off. He's not like a Helenius who will just turn up and put his chin in the air and get smoked. We've seen that already. He will come and he will tangle. Now, I'm not saying... He reminds me in a way, Franklin reminds me a bit like Craig Richards. He hasn't got that out and out, I want to be a winner champion, But he's got that, you're not going to have an easy fight with me. Do you know what I mean? That's what Craig Richards and Franklin are missing. They're missing that killer instinct. They're missing that champion, I want this more than anything. You know what I mean? But don't get me wrong. Whether they're missing that top champion mentality, that winner, that purebred winning mentality, they'll turn up and you will be in a fight with Craig Richards and you will be in a fight with Franklin. This ain't no, again, it's not no bumlenius. Franklin put his chops in the air and jump on the floor. If AJ blows this Donnie's back out, he's going to get full credit from me. And that'll be a first step. I actually think Franklin is as durable as Usyk for what it's worth. And that's what I'm saying. Now, Franklin isn't as slick as Usyk. I'm talking about in terms of his chops. So if AJ is able to overwhelm this guy, and in theory he should be. But listen people, we've seen AJ. We've seen big buff bulbous AJ in there with a middleweight Usyk, and his butt crack was doing this. It was twitching the whole fight for 2 fights. Now he's actually in there with a real heavyweight who, whatever you say about him, he's not going to jump on the floor, in my opinion. Actually, genuinely, this is as dangerous as it gets for Johnston. I'm surprised. I thought he'd be going in there with let me think of a name. Pick someone who jumps on the floor. That's what I was thinking was coming next. And to be honest, I said to you, man, if AJ leaves Angel Fernando Alonso, if AJ leaves Fernando Alonso and genuinely goes to Texas to train with Derek James and buys into the system, which from what I'm hearing, that is what he's doing, I actually think this is too much risk. Especially when it's not even on traditional pay-per-view. Yeah, well it is, but you know what I mean? It's not even on pay-per-view. So I'm thinking, if you're not on pay-per-view, obviously, what I'm getting at is, if you're on pay-per-view, you can't be doing bum fights on pay-per-view. But if you're not on pay-per-view, I actually would have liked AJ, and it might sound, you man might think I'm mad, but I would have liked AJ to do the level below Franklin. Just to get a pure blowout win. Let's get one in the bag. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. And again, I said this a few weeks ago. If AJ's really doing it, starting his career all over again, and that would be my advice. If I was managing AJ, let's start, and that's what I said weeks ago. I said AJ should start again, not on pay-per-view, maybe even on someone's undercard like Canelo's. Let's just start from day dot and rebuild, like we're literally starting again. Let's push the reset button. And for me, the Franklin fight, that is a second fight. It's not a first fight. But it potentially shows the mindset he's in. I'm just hoping he hasn't bitten off more than he can chew. Because if he goes in there, yeah, and ends up having a 50-50 fight, it's not going to do nothing for his confidence. And I actually think, if I was to bet right now, I bet AJ has a 50-50 fight with this dude. Based on, I'd love to tell you otherwise, but based on the Usyk fight. Do you understand? Now, has AJ flipped it around? You know, that's to be seen. I'm telling you, based on let's not forget, people, my man AJ was running around the ring from Pulev, a 50-year-old man. Now, whatever you say about Pulev, yeah, Franklin would wash Pulev. He'd wash him. Too young, too strong, he'd get washed. I mean, look at Chisora. Chisora was gassed, and he had to go on Pulev. Yeah? Franklin's almost like a younger, more slicker version of Chisora, in my opinion. So, I can see, based on if AJ was scary of, and that's the thing, maybe that's what AJ's going to do. Either way, if AJ goes life and death with Franklin, his career's over, and that's why I don't like this move. But also, what I will say, if AJ goes in there, yeah, because this is one way I think AJ can win easy, is if he goes in there and tries to pull off the AJ vs Ruiz 2. If I see any of that rubbish, he finished. Yeah? Number 1, if he goes life and death, he's finished. Number 2, if he goes in there, I'm taller than Franklin, let me just pop him with a jab and run around the place. If I see any of that, he's finished. But like I said, that's why I'm a bit disappointed with Derek James. I mean, they've got the pay-per-view bit right. Let's step down for pay-per-view. We haven't got any belts. At this point for me, yeah, again, it should be AJ completely rebuilding. Let's rebuild his ego. Let's rebuild his, the whole lot, the whole shtick. Let's start right from day one. And for me, the Franklin fight is not a day one fight. Who is a day one fight? I don't know, find some, honestly, I don't think it's, again, you have to bear in mind where I'm coming from here. I'm talking about AJ fighting every other month, really, every 8 weeks. That's how far I'd take it back. And Franklin isn't an every 8 week. AJ will know he's been in a fight with Franklin. Now, he might, listen, if AJ comes out here and just blows this Donny's back out, fair play to him. That will show that, and maybe I'll be wrong, but I'm saying, based on what I've seen from Franklin, based on what I've seen from AJ's recent form, without any magical changes overnight, he's going to be in a hard fight. Whereas I'd want AJ to be, since he's not on pay-per-view anyway, what's wrong with just, for the next year, maybe not even a year, for the next 9 months, let's book 4 fights in. Back to back to back to back. Let's boot, and that in itself is good for DAZN, because you're building the non-pay-per-view platform. That's what DAZN's actually really struggled with. They've struggled with providing value. Well, that would be great, wouldn't it? For the next year, AJ is going to be fighting 6 times. Every other month. That's how I'd be doing it for AJ. Let's get him. What's wrong with having, for all due respect, Fury's a champion. He just fought Chisora. Do you understand? So if a champion, pound for pound lineal, can fight Chisora, don't tell me AJ can't fight I'm not even sure of the names, but literally, that's the kind of thing I'll be thinking about. Go in there for the next year. Let's just forget about the next year. Forget about titles for the next year. The next 2 or 3 fights, we're going to be going in there and just pretty much the level above Journeyman. Someone who's not going to completely just bottle the fight, but someone who you can practice and work your skills on. Practice your defense. Practice the new things Derek James is teaching you. Hone your skills. And again, from my point of view, Franklin isn't that guy. Franklin is a tough fight. It is. It's not the guy you want to be learning and rebuilding with. I might be wrong. It might be the case that Derek James is next level and AJ's just got a complete new guy. But that's what I think will be needed. For AJ to go in there and just murk this guy, he will need a complete transformation from what we've seen in the Pulev fight, from what we've seen in the Usyk fights. That lack of confidence he had, this isn't a confidence building fight. This really is who needs it? Honestly, this is one of the most dangerous fights out there, truth be known, for what it delivers. Franklin and Dillian White are clearly the same level, and that's what I'm saying. If you're going to take that kind of risk, AJ might as well have fought Dillian. That's why I'm not sure who's really managing things here. It worries me. Now, it's one of 2 things. Either number 1, Team AJ know they've got the pattern down and they're about to smoke this dude. If so, fair play. Or number 2, as has been consistent throughout AJ's career, people like Eddie Hearn don't know what they're doing. Yeah, let's not forget. Eddie Hearn had Andy Ruiz in there on 7 weeks notice. 6 weeks notice. Just throwing dudes in there. Throwing random dudes in there. Taking a whole bunch of risk when there was nothing in that. Do you understand? And allegedly also, AJ was sick then as well. Concussed or whatever by Joey DeWaco. All throughout AJ's career has been poor strategic decisions. Bottom line, is this another one? I ain't gonna lie to you. I mean, don't get me wrong, YB, AJ should be able to blow through Franklin. Yeah, he should also have been able to blow through Usyk. That's what I'm getting at. When you see one of the most buff dudes you've ever seen walk the history of the earth, going in there, scary, of a little middleweight, that tells me you need a full rebuilding. All the way back to the start. This Franklin fight's almost like, well, we don't need a full rebuild. We'll jump back in at halfway. No. I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that Derek James is able to just fire things up from the middle. That's not what I've seen. AJ needs to rebuild right from the start. Let's get that youthfulness. Let's go in there, practice our skills, and just tee off on a few dudes. Not complete stiffs, but dudes who aren't dangerous at all, essentially. I'm trying to think of good names. Who's durable, yeah, but has no power whatsoever? I actually think, all due respect here, I actually think Otto Wallin is a better fight than this dude. Truth be known, I do. I think Otto Wallin is less dangerous than Franklin. Wallin's got that lankiness. He's a tall fighter as it is, but AJ, his best self is teeing off on dudes. Franklin, he's got that small, stubby American style. He's not got the best style to tee off on. You want that big, tall, stiff. I think Wallin's just quite big, and he's not a big power puncher. I think the Wallin fight, and then again, he's southpaw. so that's not necessarily relevant. But I mean, I'm trying to think of some names. I'm not sure the name, but someone. That's the whole point. Maybe no name. You don't need a name for the first few. For the first 1 or 2 fights. But again, I'd have him fighting 6 times this year. Team Hearn, they ain't going to be doing that for whatever reason. And that's why I do wonder who these people suck these great trainers off. Oh, Derek James this, Derek James that. Why hasn't Derek James told AJ, we're starting again. If you're going to work with me, I want you to have 6 fights in the next year. Forget about the money. Forget about the pay-per-view. If you can't commit to that, stay in England. I don't know. Maybe this Franklin fight is part of a plan like that. I can't imagine. I don't know. Again, if AJ goes in there and just smokes this dude, then we'll all be able to say, oh wow, they knew something we didn't. He's already ready. Yeah, Franklin, he was the first fight, but he was the bum who can't stand up. Which in theory, Franklin should be. If AJ is supposed to be one of the greatest of all time, Franklin should be just another bum to smoke on. But I'm not going based on hope and what shoulda, coulda, woulda. Listen, if you're talking shoulda, coulda, woulda, yeah, AJ would have been champion still. He'd have been champion. That's not the case. Full rebuild. I don't get what the rush is. Clearly, they've already accepted it's not on pay-per-view. Okay, I mean, we all understand. If it's on pay-per-view, there has to be a certain level of class. But they've already conceded that. So I'm thinking, why not do it properly? Why go in the middle? You've taken him off pay-per-view, which is a huge step. I mean, if I remember correctly, wasn't Franklin and White on pay-per-view? Wait a minute, if Franklin and White can be on pay-per-view, yeah, AJ's washed, but AJ is nowhere near as washed as Dillian. At least AJ's been a champion. At least AJ's been in them big clutch moments. So if Dillian White and Franklin is pay-per-view, you best believe AJ and Franklin's pay-per-view. My point being, well, that shows clearly they've made a decision there to take it off of it. So why not do it the full? Why not go all the way? Let's take a step all the way back. Let's not half do this one. Or let's come back and take a middle fight, and you're not at middle fight levels. AJ does not have middle fight confidence. If he did, Pulev would have been smoked on. Let's be real here, people. Pulev was a 40-year-old man. AJ, that should have been a whole plate of food, truth be known. For the young, hungry champion bull AJ was supposed to be, Pulev should have been, you know what I mean? It should have been proper peak for him. Instead, it went 10 rounds and it went all, not a good look. And AJ's got worse from there. And that's what happened, you see. It's well renowned. It's well renowned within boxing. That cliche, boxing's 99% mental. Well, it is. And on that basis, you don't make them changes. If someone's nervous about fighting a cruiserweight, and we all saw it in that first round in the first fight, AJ comes out popping his chops. He didn't really want to know after that. Yeah? That's only 2 fights ago, or 1 fight ago. Even in the last fight, yes, AJ was better. Still, he wasn't trusting himself, he wasn't trusting his power, he wasn't enjoying his work. It looked like a man... Yeah, it didn't have that pizzazz, did it? I've done videos in the past, AJ in there with Takam. Now, Takam ain't no top guy, but still... Takam really, Franklin's better than Takam, but still, I've seen AJ in there with a small dude like Takam in there. Go back and watch that fight. AJ was in there tangling with the smaller man. Where's that ability? Where's that gone? That's the question. Can coming back to Franklin, and I'm not saying, well, I wouldn't bet on it, but I'm saying, of course AJ can come back and pull it out of the bag. I'm saying, is it most likely? What's the upside here? Why take the risk? I can't fathom that. Why do that? Why not? If you're going to take it off pay-per-view anyway, why not go all the way back to the start? Bring in some journeymen. I mean, for the first fight's sake, literally just get a dude who ain't going to last more than 3 rounds. Let's get that taste back. Let's get that, I mean, we know fighters like Mike Tyson, it's all about the taste. Yeah? Now, if you ain't had no... AJ isn't meant to be an aggressive fighter. When was the last time he had a KO? You don't even know what it feels like. I've never boxed before, but I can imagine Do you know what it's like when you've hit someone so hard that their legs go? That adrenaline that drops. AJ ain't tasted that. Yeah? It's like a lion in the jungle. You ain't doing no hunting. AJ ain't had no hunting. He hasn't had no blood in his mouth. Tasted it. Little taste of some real meat. He's completely... I mean, we're talking 4 years ago. Since AJ really had more than that, 5 years ago. When was the last time AJ had a primal performance? When was the last time you saw AJ with animal spirits inside him? Don't know or know. Is Franklin the fight to resurge them animal spirits? I wouldn't bet on it. Franklin's a solid dude. Too solid for a comeback fight. That's the bottom line for me. I hope I'm wrong. I don't understand what the fascination is with these guys. Why can't you just do it properly? Do you know what I mean? For what it's worth, what's wrong with AJ at this point in his career having a punt? You know what, people? I've done the first part of my career. Now it's time to fully experiment. I've got a new trainer. Why not start again from day one? That's what, I mean, from a marketing point of view, that's what my shtick would be. DAZN could do a whole series on it. AJ, AJ the Resurgence. Literally starting again. Eddie Hearn could get a whole promotion behind it. AJ, he's got a whole new trainer, a whole new team. He's moved to the US. We're restarting his career. We're going right back to day one. Debut fights. I'd have AJ on people's undercards. I told you before. I'd have AJ on Canelo's undercard. Proper doing it again. Rebuilding. Getting that fan. Let's not forget, people. Fans got following AJ. Not because of nothing else. Because he was blowing dudes back out. He was blowing dudes' backs out. Yeah? So why not restart that again? We're going to fight 6 times this year. Maybe even more. Depending how easy the fights are. For the next year, we're going to fight every month. Every fight gets a little bit harder. Until I'd probably end that process after a year. Or after 10 months, or after 9 months, we'll put Franklin in. Let's get 5 to 8 fights under our belt over the next 9 months, and then we put Franklin in, and then we put Dillian Whyte in, and then by that point, who wants some? By that point, we're then ready for the Joe Joyces, the Tyson Furies, or the Usyk rematch. Imagine that, people. Imagine the anticipation we'd all feel if we've just seen AJ building up again, smoking dudes with that raw passion again. Imagine seeing AJ on the mic saying, "Listen, you've seen all the bums I've chewed on." Imagine seeing AJ go in there and just smoke on Franklin expeditiously. "Listen, I'm back. I'm back, people. It's a new thing, not no old thing." Usyk, and that for me would be that'd be the pinnacle. AJ goes in there after 8 months, 8 fights later, just knocked Franklin out in the first 6 rounds, and he says, "Usyk, yeah, you got my belts. I'm coming for them belts." Yeah. That'd be for me the pinnacle. Instead, it's almost as if they're trying to rush the whole process again, and they're jumping in at Franklin. I don't know, you man, let me know what you think. Do you think Franklin is a starting the process fight? I just don't see it myself. If he was, Dillian Whyte would have smoked. I mean, Dillian Whyte, yeah, I don't rate him yet, but if Dillian Whyte's having trouble in there, bearing in mind where AJ's coming from, let's get something straight here. This isn't the AJ who smoked Dillian. I'd say AJ and Dillian are at a similar point, to be quite frank, at this point in time. Any edge AJ used to have over Dillian has been lost in them 2 Usyk fights. Based on what? Well, I reckon Dillian Whyte does a better job against Usyk than AJ did. I think Dillian Whyte, all said and done, would put on a better performance than AJ against Usyk. The same way we saw Chisora put on a better show, categorically. Chisora has a better loss to Usyk than AJ does 2 times. So on that basis, if Dillian Whyte, who now is about the same level as AJ, if he struggled with Franklin, what's the point? I'm sorry, I know I keep going in circles, but I can't fathom it for the life of me. You've made all the right choices. You've gone out to Texas. You've stepped back from pay-per-view. And instead of, it's like, you're trying to rush the fights. People tell me, where is the upside? And also, you've got to also remember people. It's like, where does he go from here now? Okay, let's say, obviously, if he goes in there and blows Franklin away, then essentially he's back in the cut. Roll your oyster. If he doesn't, if it's a tough fight, and then you have to take a step back, it's like, well, that don't look good, does it? And that's why it's so important. This fight, you have to look great in. And that's why I'll be doing it my way. Guarantee. It's no good. The last thing, in my opinion, the last thing AJ needs is a whole new team and to have the same issues when the bell goes. Do you understand? The last thing we need to see right now is the bell go and AJ's in there with a tough fight. That's not how you rebuild someone. Let him get that thing in that bit under his teeth. Let him get a little taste first. It's a little taste. AJ's been sitting around for 6 months. We could have already started this process. What's the fascination with rushing? That's the question I'd put to these people. What's the fascination? Maybe I'm wrong. YB, you're wrong. Franklin, he is that guy who AJ's going to completely blow out. Maybe if he does that, if AJ goes in there, and it turns out that Franklin is like any bum, fair play. That will make sense to me, but I don't see it that way. I see this fight going 12 rounds, and I can see it. With some people, we've seen Usyk hit AJ, and he looks a bit. Ooh. Franklin's a full-fledged heavyweight, and he can bang. He's not a pound-for-pound puncher, but he can hit you. With all due respect, Ruiz isn't a pound-for-pound puncher, and he popped you on your chops, and you was hit for 6. Do you understand? I don't see the genuinely. I don't see the upside. He may as well have just fought Dillian White for 5 times more money. They've done. I have to salute AJ. They've done everything right until this point. And all I can say is I hope I'm wrong. I hope that all the problems are fixed. For me, this is not a rebuild fight. It's at top level, man. All due respect. Above this is who? Who would you say is above Franklin? It's not Dillian White. Yeah, okay, Wilder's above Franklin, Joe Joyce, and Tyson Fury. So that's my point I'm making. You're fighting someone the level above the absolute, or the level below the pinnacle. Do you know what I mean? Why would you do that with a new camp? What's the rush? I don't know. Am I missing something here? Because then you have a difficult fight with Franklin, as I expect, and then what have you got? Then you got what? Deontay Wilder next. Who here wants to see AJ have a difficult fight with Franklin and then go in there with Wilder? We know you're just being served up. Conversely, who wants to watch AJ rebuild, beat 6 bums in a row, get that confidence back, get rounds, it's not just getting rounds, getting explosive rounds under your belt. Every fight you're working on not only winning the fight, not only getting stoppages, but you're honing your skills. Let's stop a few people to the body. Yeah? Let's get a few one-punch knockouts in there. That's what I'll be focusing on. You know what I mean? Proper mixing up that viciousness. Because when you fight these journeyman types, it's not all about... That's what a lot of people forget. And that's the great thing, or that's the opportunity AJ could have had. When you're coming up early in your career, you're not really thinking, but now it's your second chance at a career. You could literally focus on things like, let's not worry about the KO. Let's worry about how we're going to KO this guy. This KO is going to be to the body. We're going to find a left hook to the body. Next fight, this one's going to be to the side of his chops. We're going to hit him right on here with a right hook. That's what, you know what I mean? It's just break the game down and fall in love. Fall in love with smoking people's packs again. That's what I envisage. Coming where AJ's come from. Is AJ versus Franklin? Is that the start of this process? I don't see it. I see AJ going in there. No matter how well he's been training, I see AJ going in there. The first big shot lands. Oh, here I am again. Because he hasn't had any time to rebuild himself. You can't rebuild yourself in the gym. I don't care who's around you. Now, if I'm wrong, I'll put my hands in the air. But from what I understand, you can't rebuild yourself in the gym. You need to be under the lights when the camera's on. That's where you rebuild yourself. And from my point of view, if AJ was fighting the 6 bums or whatever, not complete bums, but people who ain't gonna take your head off. Franklin, if he gets a chance, will take your head off. Especially now after the Dillian White fight, he knows. You know what I mean? He's gonna be. For me, Franklin now is the most dangerous. He's got a taste for that shine now. He knows he's got to make it count. There's nothing more dangerous than that. And AJ, he's had no transition. He's gone from down bad against Usyk to just, I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. Can't get my head around it. I mean, at least one. I mean, come on. I'd have thought at least one fight before Franklin. At least one. Let's have one blow away. Gee, no. Let's get one bit. When I say a blow away, I don't mean literally I hit you once and you're on the floor. I'm talking about that middle ground. I don't know. For example, Lucas Brown. Yeah, let's just throw him out there. Lucas Brown, for example. Let's get Lucas Brown in. You know you know what I mean. Let's throw Lucas Brown in there. He's old, but he's got that big dome egghead. Get his big dome egghead, and you know the thing about Lucas Brown is he will come and he'll try and have a go. Yeah, so get him in there, and let's touch him to the body. That kind of guy, not a guy who you know is just coming in to jump on the floor. Not a pure journeyman. Someone who has ambition, but someone who you can tee off on. Who will take a few shots, will give a few shots, and then you can get that highlight reel KO on the end. Those kind of guys. That's where I'll be gauging it. For the first fight back. Not Franklin. The guy who's the level below the absolute pinnacle. What the fuck? It's almost, and I hope I'm wrong. And the reason I hope I'm wrong is, if I'm not wrong, we haven't gone nowhere. Essentially, AJ's moved all the way to Texas, only to rush it in the first fight back and get blocked, and it's almost like you don't want to spoil this. We've got a beautiful new barrel of apples, yeah. Texas, AJ going out to Derek James is a brand new barrel of apples, and I feel the minute, yeah, he has to be. In my opinion, you have to build this whole scenario up from scratch, and it's important you do that. Otherwise, if you don't want to taint this beautiful new barrel of apples with a rotten one. And that rotten one would be first fight back in a new camp, he gets hit with a big shot, and you're back to square one essentially. Now all them bad memories from before are back again, and it's spoiling this camp. That's why it's so important to rebuild the foundations from the start. Let's pretend it is brand new. Why not? Nothing to lose. What's stopping you? What's stopping AJ fighting every month for the next year? You'll never be more active in your life. Let's get that love back for the game. Why not do that? That's the question. And it's almost frustrating, because he's made all the right decisions, all of them, to Texas, drop in Fernando. And now you're just trying to jump into top big fights still. Because yes, Franklin doesn't have a name, but he's still a top fight. I don't care what no one says. There's very few people who will even if they beat Franklin, almost no one will wash Franklin. Franklin versus Usyk is a 50-50 fight. Yes, Usyk may outslick him, he ain't going to stop him. Dillian White versus Franklin, 50-50 fight. Joe Joyce versus Franklin, he food, but still, you know what I'm saying? Apart from Joe Joyce, and even Fury, I don't think Fury stops Franklin. Franklin's slicker and cuter than Chisora. I think the only guy who blows a hole through Franklin is Joe Joyce. But he's in a league in his own anyway. So why would you fight a guy who's essentially the top level? That question remains to be seen. I hope I'm wrong. The best case will be, or really the only case for AJ's career is to go in there and he looks like a new man. I know I've said it many times, but I just think they're trying to run before they've walked. And let's not forget, it's not like AJ's fundamentals were on point in the first part of his career. We know there's gaping holes that need to be fixed. This is not a gaping hole fix fight. This is not, I'm starting my career again fight. This is we're on a run. No whatever lie. For me, for AJ to fight Franklin, this is, I'm on a run, I'm feeling good, my wind's back in my sail, and let's go. I don't know, you man tell me, have I missed something? Since when has AJ had the wind in his sail? Do you know what I'm saying? Dillian White, and it's not as if, yeah, don't get me wrong. Before Dillian White fought Franklin, most of us said, oh, that's light work, 10-1. But we now know Franklin ain't no scrub. So it's like, he had to fight. Do you know it's going to be a cracker. You know he ain't going to roll over. And yet here we are. I don't know what to say, people. I don't know what to say. And what I can say is, what makes AJ different now, 6 months later, than he was against Usyk? What's changed in that time? For me to believe in this, you'd have to say, it's completely changed. He's a whole new man. And that is the case. If AJ's a whole new man after 6 months, why couldn't they have demoed that with 6 months fighting every month? Imagine the anticipation. I mean, we know Team AJ love money. Imagine the anticipation the fans would have, seeing AJ go in there and just smoke dudes. That's what we need right now. We don't need another 50-50 fight. We've been seeing a whole bunch of 50-50 fights. We don't need no more of them. We need to see he back. Even if it's, to be quite frank, even if it's fake belief. Even if he can only do it against bumps. Let's start there though. That's how I feel. Even if AJ goes in there with bums, like Lucas Brown, blows them out, and then he gets in there with Franklin and gets bopped, and it's all back to square one. At least you can say, listen man, we give it a fair go. We rebuilt him. We tried it the best way we could from the scratch. He was looking good against the lower level guys. He stepped up again, and he just hasn't got it. That's what we can conclude at that point. Now, in my opinion, if AJ gets hit on the chops by Franklin and it all falls apart, we can't say he's done it properly. We can say, standard, they rushed, and he went in there with a tough fight before he was ready. There's absolutely no evidence under the lights that tells me AJ is ready for a proper fight. What have you? I don't know. Have I missed something here? You tell me. What evidence have you seen? The last time we saw AJ, he was bugging out, throwing someone's belt out of the ring. And you're going from that to another. Again, for me, I'd say Franklin is more dangerous punch for punch than Usyk. So a man who had no confidence against a middleweight, he's now meant to just jump in there with a heavy punching. I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, it's going to play out how it's going to play out. Hope I'm wrong. Time will tell. Let me know your thoughts. Smash the like button, subscribe, and lick off the bell 100%.